Today we are making the Susannah block, which is block number 6. We've pre-cut our fabrics and labeled them with our alphabetties. From your background, you will need one 7.5-inch square and 4 4-inch squares. You will also need one 4-inch square from each fabric C and 2 4-inch squares from each fabric D. Our first step is to make the center unit of our Susannah block. First, take all 4 of your fabric C's and draw a line on the back. We're going to draw a line from point to point. Then we're going to take our fabric A square and we're going to put the blue square on one corner. We're going to pin twice, one on the outside and one on the inside to keep it stabilized. And we're going to do the same thing on the opposite corner using your green square. And we're going to take our piece and we're going to take it to the sewing machine and we're going to sew with a 2.0 stitch length and sew directly on your line. Remove your pins, and now we're going to just trim approximately 1/4 inch from the edge of your seam on the outside. Use your scrap bucket. And now we're going to take the unit and press. So set your seam, and we're going to press out towards your darker fabric. Now we're going to attach our yellow and red square to the unit. So just follow your pattern for placement. We're going to put the yellow on this corner, pin twice. And you're wanting to make sure that your edges on your 90-degree angle line up correctly. Put the red on the other corner. And again, we're going to cut 1/4 inch away from the seam on the outside edge. Put these in our scrap bucket. And we're going to go ahead and press the same as we did in our previous step towards the outside. And this unit is done. So now we're going to make a 2-patch unit using your fabric D squares. Take your squares and lay them out according to your pattern. And then you're just going to sew all the way down to the 1/4 inch seam allowance. So now you're going to cut your 2 patches apart. And now you're ready to press. On this unit, finger press your seam open. Take the tip of your iron and press. And now we're going to make our top and bottom units. Pay attention to the 2 patches that you pull because it is important for the direction for you to have the correct units. And follow your pattern. We're going to add fabric B squares to the end of both of these. You're going to put your fabrics right sides together and pin at the bottom. Cut your threads apart. And this time we're going to press in towards the darker. So you go ahead and press. And now we're going to assemble the middle row of our Susannah block. You take your square and a square unit and lay it out according to your pattern. You're going to add your side units. And you can see your fabrics match. And I'm going to show you a trick on pinning. You're going to put a pin 1/4 inch down approximately in the very center of the seam. Poke it through. And then on the very tip you can see this intersection. Poke your pin through that. Straighten, remove your pin, and just put it back in sideways. Then you know your seams nest right there and your points are going to match. And your points match perfectly. You're going to set your seams and press towards the outer units. And now we're going to attach our outer 2 rows. Look at the pretty effect that this block gives with a curve without having to sew a curve. So now we're going to pin again, right sides together. Pin at the bottom and every intersection. These seams nest. If you can see, one goes towards the dark, the other one goes the opposite direction. Sew with a 1/4 inch seam down the end. You can see seams match perfectly. We're going to attach the very last row. Same thing, right sides together and pin. And now we're ready to iron and starch our block. First, set your seam. Press out towards your outer row. Use a non-flaking starch and do an all-over starch. Let your block sit about 2 minutes and then do an all-over press. To trim, you're going to align this very center line with the line on your ruler. Just trim the edge. Do the same thing on all 4 sides, and you're not trying to cut off too much, you're just trying to cut off the final threads to give it a crisp look. Thanks for sewing with me today, and come back on July 1st to make our courthouse lawn block. See you then!